At the end of the 1950s, the American car industry was changing. Chevrolet, one of General Motors' most iconic brands, dominated the market with its large sedans and muscle cars, but something new was emerging. European cars, smaller and more economical, began to win over consumers in the United States. Among them, the Volkswagen Beetle, which was already selling millions of units, was threatening the reign of the American giants. GM realized it had to react. They wanted a compact, modern, and affordable car that could compete directly with the VW Beetle. Thus was born the Chevrolet Corvair, a daring project that promised to revolutionize the automotive industry. Unlike traditional cars of the time, the Corvair featured an air-cooled rear engine, something rare in American models. Its design was innovative, its structure was lighter, and its proposal was simple: to offer an economical vehicle without losing the essence of comfort and performance. When it was launched in 1960, the Corvair seemed to be everything consumers wanted. The model stood out for its elegant look and distinctive mechanics. Its 2.3-liter flat-six engine delivered enough power for a compact car, and its independent suspension gave the impression that it would be stable and safe. In addition, the Corvair had an affordable price, which made it attractive to a wider audience. GM saw it as a guaranteed success. However, what began as a dream quickly turned into a nightmare. The Corvair hit a serious problem, an engineering flaw that would make its history one of the most controversial in the automotive industry. GM's decision to skimp on essential components, such as a stabilizer bar in the rear suspension, made the car unstable in sharp turns and sudden maneuvers. With more weight at the rear due to the engine, the car's stability was compromised. If the driver took a corner too quickly, the Corvair could easily lose control, skidding or even overturning. Many accidents began to happen, and the model that was to be one of Chevrolet's greatest successes came to be seen as a dangerous car. GM's response? Denial. The company knew about the problems but decided to downplay the flaws and continue production, betting that consumers wouldn't notice. They were wrong. Over the next few years, accident reports began to pile up, and the Corvair's reputation was tarnished. But it was in 1965 that the biggest blow came. A young lawyer named Ralph Nader decided to investigate the Corvair's problems and ended up revealing to the world a scandal that would change the industry forever. The Chevrolet Corvair was already involved in a wave of accidents when Ralph Nader, a young lawyer and activist, decided to investigate what was really going on. In 1965, he published a book that would change the history of the automobile industry, Unsafe at Any Speed. The book not only exposed the Corvair as an unsafe car, but also accused General Motors and other automakers of ignoring consumer safety in order to maximize profits. Nader argued that GM was fully aware of the flaws in the Corvair suspension, and that, instead of correcting the problem, it chose to continue selling the car, putting the lives of thousands of people at risk. The publication was a scandal. The media quickly began to cover the case, and the Corvair's reputation went down the drain. But instead of admitting its mistakes and working to improve the car's image, GM made an even worse decision: to try to destroy Ralph Nader's credibility. The company hired private investigators to follow him around, snoop into his personal life, and find anything that could be used against him. Nader was spied on, his correspondence was monitored, and even smear attempts were made to discredit him. But GM's strategy failed miserably. The case reached the U.S. Senate, and General Motors was forced to admit publicly that it had spied on Ralph Nader. This turned the lawyer into a true consumer hero, further strengthening his fight for more safety in the automotive industry. Meanwhile, GM tried to minimize the damage. In 1965, the company launched the second-generation Corvair, correcting many of the problems of the original model. The new version had a redesigned suspension, which eliminated the instability of the first generation, but the damage had already been done. By now, the Corvair was considered a killer car by the public, and its sales plummeted. The impact of the scandal was so great that the American government decided to take action. Public pressure led to the creation of new safety regulations for cars, and Ralph Nader himself became a key figure in the fight for consumer rights. The Corvair, which was supposed to be the future of Chevrolet, was now a symbol of irresponsibility and a wake-up call for the automotive industry. But the story isn't over yet. Even after the scandal involving Ralph Nader and GM, the Chevrolet Corvair remained on the market until 1969, but it was only a shadow of what the automaker had once hoped it would be. The launch of the second generation in 1965 brought significant improvements, especially in the vehicle's stability. However, the car's reputation was irreparably tarnished. Sales plummeted year after year, and Chevrolet soon realized that there was no future for the Corvair. The model fell by the wayside with fewer and fewer updates and investment from GM. In 1969, production ended quietly, without ceremony or grandiose announcements. It was the end of one of the most shameful chapters in the company's history, but the Corvair's impact went far beyond its commercial failure. The scandal forced the U.S. government to act, resulting in the creation of stricter vehicle safety laws. In 1966, Congress passed the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act, which established mandatory safety standards for all cars sold in the country. The impact of these new laws was immense and led to the creation of the NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which to this day regulates automotive safety in the USA. In addition, the scandal propelled Ralph Nader to the status of one of the greatest defenders of consumer rights. He continued his fight against irresponsible practices in the automobile industry and helped shape numerous safety policies that have made modern cars much safer. For GM, the Corvair became a definitive warning about the dangers of ignoring safety and public opinion. Never again would the company treat design problems so carelessly. Over the years, other scandals would affect the automaker, but none had as lasting an impact as the Corvair. Today, the Chevrolet Corvair is seen as a curious piece of automotive history. Despite its problems, it still has a dedicated fan base that appreciates its innovative design and unique engineering concept by American standards at the time. Some restored models are highly prized by collectors, but its name will forever be associated with GM's biggest failure. The Corvair proved that in the world of automobiles, a single flaw can doom a model, and more importantly, that safety should never be an option.